Hoping there'll be some more audience participation and questions for the people as we proceed in the debate. So stand by for that, chaps. And we'll...
I'm going to press it. Yeah.
Okay, shall we have a go? So we're going to try and talk about the ethical questions that arise in navigating the kind of transitions that we're all responsible for helping with in various ways. Heard lots of interesting things in different talks. Can I have start off by just what are you most worried about and what are you most excited about? If everybody does a few seconds on that, I'll give you a few seconds to think, and we'll start at Toby's end.
Press. No, do not press. That is.
I pressed it already. Nothing happens.
Okay. I think energy and as an ecological imprint is the most worrying thing about accelerated computing.
And what are you most excited about?
That is a longer thing. I need a few more seconds.
Okay, we'll stick with the worries and then we'll come back down on the positive. All right.
So my worry is we're seeing a lot of startups raising a lot of money around AI accelerators, the acceleration topic. I think there's a great opportunity there, but I think a lot of these are going to struggle. Actually, is there a market? So a great opportunity. I'm worried that we might squander it. If some good technologies might not make it.
Big questions. I mean, at the moment, I think I'm most worried about West Ham's start to the season because we're terrible. But I think it's the two sides of a hammer. I think Bill.
No, West Ham reference.
No, that's unintentional. Unintentional. So AI is just another tool. The thing to remember most about AI is that it isn't artificial and it isn't intelligent. It's just statistics. It can be applied very intelligently, but it's just another tool like a hammer. And like a hammer, it can be used in good ways and bad ways. And I think it's understanding how to use a hammer, to stretch that analogy to a breaking point, which is the key here. This is an exciting thing. It can do things that humans can't do on their own. But it's not things that humans couldn't do eventually. It's just better at doing it faster. And that's an upside. The downside is that the vast majority of people don't understand what AI is, and they think it's magic and it's not. So kind of what you said, it's the misinterpretation of what this stuff can do and the vulnerabilities that it creates by knowing your secrets when you don't necessarily want it to.
Interesting. I think the vulnerabilities angle is certainly one that what do things know and how do we guard that data one is something that I'm so Joe.
Thank you. Is this okay? These are all really, really different answers. And I worry about a lot of things. In this setting, I worry about the load on a few people. A lot of institutions are losing budgets, losing skills, IT teams are shrinking, and from a procurement perspective, that makes it really appealing to go outside. But at the same time, I'm excited about the potential opportunity there for institutions who are all in that same boat. If they've got small teams of people with fantastic skills to collaborate on shared infrastructure and seize that opportunity if that can be made to happen.
Thanks. So I think that point about against the background of the public sector institution is difficult, difficult situation in many places, and yet the opportunity to make wise choices if we have our another person joined us. Excellent. So
yes, Louis was able to join us.
Great, Louis, you're back. Hi. So I think when we had some connection issues, the question was, what are you most excited about and what are you most worried about?
Okay. For me, I'm excited about the efficiency that comes along with AI, but my biggest fear is on the huge investment that organizations have to put in place in terms of capacity building and investing in compute situation. I'm saying, yes, we want to tap into efficiency, but can we afford it? How many people do I need to train? So the cost of that investment versus the opportunity that it comes when it comes to efficiency and all.
So I heard a few connections then between what a number of different people said, which I would sort of synthesize as that capacity building and having the capability capacity to navigate this wisely, and therefore how can we ensure that each of our institutions is able to be knowledgeable enough to get through this in a way that's fulfills the excitement without fulfilling the worry. And Tobias, any thoughts on
You gave me
on how we address that? How do we address that capability and capacity challenge within the institutions?
I thought you asked me what is most
Well,
exciting.
Well, let's move back to that as well.
Okay. So most exciting is, in my opinion, it is intellectually stimulating in the sense that we now get machines where we really don't know how to use them. So that links to the skills. Let me clarify what that means. So we get GPU-based, GPU-driven machines predominantly, but most people don't know how to write code that really fits well to those. Okay. And then people tell me, oh, we now do GPU. And I think, yeah, unfortunately, you're a couple of years behind because the performance doesn't come from GPUs anymore. The performance comes from tensor cores on the GPU. So even if you master to get it to the GPU, that is the next step, and you haven't even started to think about it. So I found that totally fascinating that we invest millions and millions and millions of pounds into machines that no one can use. Well, unless you do one particular use case that the vendor designed for it. And that is kind of a link now to, so I find it interesting. Okay, so that's fun. Where do the people come from that start to think how we can use that very expensive kit other than heating our offices or planet? And now I need another few seconds to think about that one.
No, it's really interesting. And I think what you talked about there was the worry about how we make sure we have the technical capacity to correctly navigate and exploit the transition. What I wonder about in terms of this community, in terms of the training and skills we need to develop amongst research infrastructure engineers and others, is what are the other skills we need to handle this, manage this successfully besides the technical skills? So yeah, I don't know if any of the panel, you have to go down the line in creeping death anymore. Now it's just doing that to get started. But if any of the panel have thoughts on things you really want to make sure your team are equipped with, or the people you work with are equipped with, or that you're equipped with, in order to get through the next few years. Or if you were saying to somebody, junior in your team, learn this from a not hard skills point of view. I don't like the soft skills, hard skills, but you know what I mean.
Well, maybe I could start by coming from outside that context a little bit. Clearly, I don't represent an academic institution. What I will say is that my company, with its pretty considerable resources, has come to the conclusion that it can't do this stuff on our own. So we do not attempt to do any of this stuff as my company. We have built an ecosystem of partners who, some of whom are academic, like the people who've built the Mistral model for us, who are based on a collaboration of universities based on Ulm in southern Germany, but also other technical vendors in the space. I mean, our stacks are built on Rancher and the SUSE container models because I like it and it does the job. Clearly, NVIDIA have a place to play in this, and we've just announced a major collaboration between my company and NVIDIA. So the point you make is very well made. There's not one set of skills that is here. There's not even one set of knowledge that is here. Even an organization like mine can't do it on its own. And it's also about the spread of that knowledge into the user base. I think that's point has been made a
Interesting.
couple of times by you guys. I repeat, when I go and speak to people, they know what AI, they think they know what AI is. They think they know, thank you. They think they know what it can give them, but they don't really understand its potential.
Mm.
So maybe the start of most of the conversations that I have are with guiding people to understand, you know, the art of the possible. So that's from outside an academic environment, but there's a lot of skills here.
Yeah.
Project management's been mentioned, but it's not only that, it's infrastructure management, it's data management, it's understanding the application of that in a business context, it's managing the impact and measurement of that business concept. There's all the stuff around supply. I mean, there's many skills, and my company can't do it on its own, so I suspect these institutions can't either.
Really interesting, really interesting. I think the answer about partnerships is really powerful. Any thoughts from other panelists on the right kinds of partnerships to build? Nick, I saw you.
I was gonna mention about skills. It sounds a bit fluffy, but I think personally the number one skill is problem solving. To, you know, not in a specific technology, but let me give you something you know nothing about and it's not working. How do you get it working? How do you move from that position to that position and you don't know lots of stuff and find out that stuff? And I think this is going to become more and more important as we get all these other technologies coming in, like these accelerators, like the AI, all the challenges that brings. You know, that basic ability, I think, is going to be critical, and that's what makes us human.
Interesting. Joe, I think I saw you coming in just a moment ago.
Yeah, thank you. So I really liked the outline of the CAKE program and schemes, the knowledge exchange, especially the secondment program, and I think that probably fits both the themes of giving people time to explore, developing new skills, but also forming partnerships, not necessarily at that institutional top level, but just through implementers. So I really hope that works for CAKE. Yeah.
So please apply.
Good.
You know.
Tobias.
There's a distinction between skills and education,
Mhm.
and I wonder whether we are a little bit in danger of focusing too much on skills. So skills is something you use to fix a particular problem at one point. Education is much deeper, and we run the risk that if we focus on skills, that it's kind of short-lived.
See.
Okay, and I wonder whether we are all a little bit
Yeah.
at the moment in the danger that, oh, you need that particular skill. You don't need the skill, you need the education, so
Yeah.
you can acquire the skills later on yourself. So
Louisa had the term of constructivist learning, that kind of self-directed cumulative approach.
Louisa, are you connected to us at the moment?
Yes, I'm connected, but there was some bit of noise. Yeah. I didn't get the message.
This continuous education, continuous learning and development point that was raised. Did you catch the conversation?
I think I missed part of it.
So I think
Sorry.
far away.
There was background noise. Yeah, I missed part of the conversation, but I got the point when he was saying between skills and education, we need to strike a balance. Unfortunately, I also say we also suffer here from educated people without skills. They've got the papers, but they can't get the work done. You're talking about skills have given us the ability to get the work done. So when it comes to this revolution of AI, we are now going beyond the certificates and the paper, but to say, do we have the skills that are able to develop AI solutions that are able to run in you said we're now beyond GPUs, code that is able to sustain business processes? Do we have people who are educated plus the skills? So we are suffering right now from people who have got the certificates, the degrees and the diplomas, but they're lacking the skills. So I'm thinking the CAKE project that you have in the UK could actually be of benefit to us. And I think it must be Glenn who spoke of capacity building. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is that kind of education that we now need to synthesize between what I learned at college and what business need, what industry need. What is it that I'm lacking as a professional in the field of technology and AI?
So the direction we've taken the conversation down in the last few minutes has suggested to us that educated and perhaps wise engineers of the flavor that we have in this audience are better able to build as an ethical, because coming back to the ethics point that we started with, is there a reason to suppose, is that still sounding sound, that there's a connection between the education and skills piece and the ethics piece, or what are the other risks? I don't see how we address some of the challenges like good data stewardship and not doing dodgy things with people. I feel like it can address. Can it address Toby's burning the planet for AI worry?
That's a good question. And I think that it can only be answered by accepting that there's an element to answering those questions and solving those problems that is outside the technical space.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, you can be the most skilled engineer in the world, which I'm not, never was. But you're not going to be able to solve those kind of ethical dilemmas with just the application of whatever engineering education that you have. There's more to being a person than being an engineer, and there's other stuff to consider. I mean, from my personal point of view, just to build on, or to agree with the facts from my right, I can assure you, beyond doubt, that the skills I entered this industry with 45 years ago have been redundant for a very long time.
Really important point. Really important point.
And I've acquired and disposed of many new skills along the way.
Yeah.
To whatever the hell skill set it is I've got now.
I was talking to a colleague a couple of days ago about, he recalled the difficulty of persuading some colleagues he was working with of adopting a newfangled technology 10 years ago, which is one that we're now sunsetting because it's now become the old hat, right? And the future becomes the past.
There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
These things have all been around before. The first cloud solution I worked on was based on an ICL mainframe in a collaboration with Barclays Bank in 1978. I mean, that was a shared resource that was used over a network, and you paid for what you used. The cloud, by its very definition, very different technologies now, of course, but the principle's the same. I think you have to recognize that this stuff is going to constantly evolve, and it isn't a set of knowledge. It's the ability to acquire new knowledge and skills that's critical, and I agree with that.
I think it's a profoundly ethical position to believe that we can continue to learn and develop, yes, rather than saying, oh, it's too hard, you're an idiot, never going to learn, kind of thing. All right, that's enough from sort of just a conversation amongst people on the stage. Let's play with interesting conversation to provoke topics from the audience. Please put up your hand if you want to. Oh, I can see one already. Far away.
Thanks, everyone. You've made some really insightful points. So that I'm going to put you on the spot now. We're talking about ethics and AI, and particularly generative AI, large language models, which we know cause untold ecological harm, which we know have stripped people of their intellectual property, and there are numerous court actions in progress right now against some of those companies that would like to sell you a large language model. We know that there's also been huge human harm to the people involved in data labeling, classification, and so on. Is it really possible to have, and I'd say specifically, an LLM which is ethical? Is that actually possible? Thank you.
Okay, anyone want to pick that one up?
Well, I'll enter the fray. Yes,
Yeah.
It is. It absolutely is, and the key is in constraint. So, in order for a thing, this is my opinion, this isn't fact, but in order for a thing to be considered ethical, you have to be able to be confident that the outcomes of its application are going to be ethical, and you can only do that if you constrain the scope of what's being done. If you leave it open in the manner of, you know, a general thing, as a model that anybody can put anything into, then you can't know what the outcomes are. I think you have to be able to constrain it to assure that it's ethical, and those constraints are possible to define, if not simple. Although I do take your point, there's probably more damage than good been done by them so far.
Go on.
I think there's a, I mean, you talk about the jobs and the challenges associated with that. I think there is a fine line. You know, when you were saying that, I was thinking back to the Industrial Revolution, you know, what I've read, obviously, in terms of in terms of people destroying the machines because they, you know, were destroying jobs and, you know, progress beyond that. So there is a fine line, I think, between ensuring that this thing works for us as a society, but also getting the benefits and not just putting artificial blockers in from that.
Yeah, some really interesting points there. One of my favorite quotes on this is the Luddites feared not the mill, but the mill owner. So just one to think about on that. Yeah, another for me, I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to have opinions as a panel chair, but I'm going to have one anyway because it's too interesting. The massively important question is what you do with it, right? So I'm happy to burn some of the planet to cure cancer. There are some things we do with these technologies that I don't think it's worth it. Anyway, there's a question over there.
No, if you are delegating,
Oh, sorry, I missed you. I apologize.
It's okay. I wanted to say, to respond to the question on the ethical LLM, to say a model itself cannot be ethical. It's about how it was developed in terms of the design principles, the data it used. Was it data which was according to the international standards? So we cannot talk of the model itself being ethical, but let's look at the designers, the developers of this particular LLM that you're talking about to say what are the principles that guided that development. Then we can say the LLM is indeed ethical. So it's a function of the design principles behind it, the data that was used to train the model, and the people who were involved. Do they have the right skills to do that kind of an LLM? Thank you.
Right. Oh, we got the debate going. Come on.
It's just another reference point. I had a lovely conversation over lunch with someone from the Swiss Supercomputing Center about the Swiss national LLM called Apertus, and they seem to have taken an approach of great transparency, scratch training, so that you're not learning from weights that have been developed through data worker exploitation, with complete transparency about what training data has gone into the model. I don't know the extent to which the metrics are really available, but Apertus certainly seems to be a great attempt at an ethical stance to developing a regional national LLM.
Really powerful. Thank you. Please.
are we becoming intellectually lazy by delegating things to machine? Because we are exercising muscles and delegating AI education. Are we becoming intellectually lazy?
I'm happy to leave that question to the professional educators.
Yeah, we're going to, Louisa, do you want to start us off on that one?
It's an interesting one. We are saying AI, let's not forget that AI is coming in with efficiency to everyone. In the medical field, engineering and education is not spared. So we are saying, what is it that we can get as value out of AI? It's not about promoting laziness per se, because we are saying there are certain aspects of education that require the human aspect, the human expert. Like in the case I presented, there is no way we can go out to the field and deploy an assessment which did not go through the human aspect. So it's the human in the loop aspect that is required. Unfortunately, there is a lot of misuse of AI where people are believing that AI is producing quality just because the output is grammar free, no errors in grammar, and it's better than what you would have written as an expert in the field. So there's that tendency of abuse of AI, and that is what I would call irresponsible use of AI. So if you go back to the basics of ethics and responsible use of AI, is you are going to go through what you have gotten from AI and add in your expert knowledge before you take it out to wherever it's supposed to be used for data-driven insights. So it's us people who make AI appear that bad, because we now have inherited the habit of just from AI to the next level of decision making, which is quite dangerous actually, because AI can hallucinate. So it's not promoting laziness, but it's the people who are using AI who have taken it to be a super god, to just be perfect in everything. Yet it's just a machine which has been programmed to just think like you as a human being, but it can also stray at times. It can also get corrupt at times. Anything can happen behind. So let's take our positions as human beings and apply our knowledge and intelligence into AI output and use it for proper decision making. Thank you.
Anyone else want to come in?
I think you're right. If we introduce AI, we will be lazy. The same argument has probably made when they invented cars and bicycles. So, but it doesn't hold across the board. So a lot of people will become lazier due to that. But then others will use it as an opportunity. You see, and so what we saw in, in physical fitness due to bikes and cars is that we have a separation. And unfortunately, I think that often aligns with the social class in that case. Okay. So some people can afford or to exercise quite a lot. And for them, it's
So
an
you think
added
there's a
value.
think gym coming our way, is that?
I guess there will be a think gym attitude probably rolling along our way, and you have to decide on which side you are.
Interesting. Can we loop back, if I've got, I think 2 minutes left? Any of this that's particularly relevant to how we consume these technologies in building the kind of HPC infrastructures that we're talking about? Because this is an HPC AI meeting, not a general AI meeting. Let's think about what these challenges mean in particular for infrastructure engineers, data engineers, and software engineers.
Are people here really doing anything that looks like agentic DevOps? There's certainly.
I think we should, right? I think so. That's the bit. One of the bits that if you ask me, one of the things that I'm really worried about is the list of things that we need to learn as infrastructure engineers in order to be good at this, right? Otherwise, we're going to get leapfrogged.
So my answer to that question is not necessarily in DevOps. In fact, not in DevOps at all, actually, but in operation of infrastructures.
Yeah.
We have our thing that we call ServiceNow, which is just the name we put to our service operational portfolio. That's heavily AI.
Yeah.
Both for management of customer calls, but also for predictive maintenance of machines. And that has had some of the impacts that you might expect such a thing to have in terms of employment and skill sets.
I think that's how the AI transition for HPC service desks that many of us in this team run, right? Yeah, really good. Anyone else?
I think what you were saying before is key. It's how you use it. And if you use it as a tool, then potentially it gets rid of a lot of the drudgery, stuff I could do, but actually I just don't want to waste an hour doing it. Actually just generate it for me. But I think the devil's in the detail of actually how we exploit these technologies.
And if I could, I don't have a professional educator's hat, but my daughter is a biology teacher in an English high school. And she would say ChatGPT is making her students lazier because none of them write their essays anymore. ChatGPT does it. Now theirs is the content, so I'm not sure it's an intellectual thing, but they can't write grammatically anymore because they don't, because the machine does.
Well, I think we're out of time now, aren't we, folks? So thank you very much, everyone, for your insightful comments and contributions. And I hope we'll continue to navigate this maze as we go.
Thank you.